Nicole from Firecracker Projects, and unbelievably, this is the third time I'm taping this Flosstube. Hopefully, this time you guys will actually get to enjoy it. My husband, the last copy we had, deleted it off the phone, off the computer, gone, like gone. So everything this week has been going pretty okay in the Firecracker household. You might imagine that this time of year in the United States for our little damaged dog, George, is really difficult. So I live near a lake, and I live in a state that doesn't regulate fireworks at all. I don't think there are any regulations on the type of fireworks you can have. So on the lake, people almost have like darn near a professional firecracker show, which is all fine and good until you have a dog that can't take that, and you have no AC and it's hot, so the windows have to be open. So it's been tough. We also, since we don't regulate it, they probably will be putting off fireworks. It started earlier this week. It'll probably go to the end of July. So we get pretty worn out on the subject after a while. So there's that. So happy 4th of July to everyone who's in the U.S. Happy High Treason Day. And I think Canada Day was either within the last 30 days or within the next 30 days. So if you're in Canada, happy Canada Day. I'm sorry I'm late, or I'm sorry I'm early. So stitching wise, some days a lot of stuff got done, and some days nothing got done. My migraines are back. Yay. So when that happens, I'm totally useless. So let's get into it. Oh, first we have a little bit of Q&A before I forget. Half stitch, cross stitched, ask who in my family is the runner. If you notice, we have 2 Runrilla displays for our numbers, and the answer is both of us. Well, neither of us. Neither of us are runners, really. Both of us, the wooden Runrilla is my husband's, and the black is mine. So a couple years ago, the first year they had the Biggest Loser run walk in Kellington, we did it. So that's one of my medals, and one of his medals is from that. We did the 5K. In the beginning, that first year, they did a 5K and a 9-mile. I now think it's a 5K or a half marathon in Kellington, Vermont. And it's a pretty difficult race. As everybody knows, any race in Kellington is not going to be easy. It's not going to be flat. It is not. But the fun part about that race is that even in the 5K, they used the ski lift. So you went down the mountain, ran around the little condo community type place, and then came back up. And to get back to the top of the mountain and it still be a 5K, you did the ski lift. And I thought that would be pretty exciting, and for some reason I didn't tell my husband about it, because I really believed in my heart of hearts that my husband was a skier. I've never skied with my husband. We've never gone skiing. So why I believed he's a skier, I don't know, but I believed he's a skier. He'll be okay. He doesn't need to. Matter of fact, he'll help me figure out the ski lift thing. Well, my husband's not a skier, and he's also afraid of heights. I'm definitely afraid of heights. So when he realized, as they're talking at the beginning of the race, that he's going to have to do the ski lift, he told me he's not going to do it. But by the end of the race, he was tired and didn't want to walk back up that hill. So he did. Me and him did use the ski lift. I gotta tell you, I was holding on to him for like dear life. It was one of those ski lifts that's just the chair. So there's nothing around you really except for that little bar like on a roller coaster. So I was holding on to my husband to dear life, and about halfway up I decided that I needed to like woman up and just do it. And so I did let him go, and then he looked at me like, why on earth would you leave me? Why would you leave me here? And it's like, I'm sitting next to you, we're still anyways, but it was a good time. So that was that's the first medal. And then we did I really wanted to try obstacle racing. So the Biggest Loser run walk series also has obstacles, and when I first read it, I thought that for some reason it sounds like you're doing a Biggest Loser race. However, the people from the Spartan race set it up. No, you're doing a Spartan race with Spartans during a Spartan race. The difference is, first of all, the Biggest Loser run walk series is a lot cheaper than a regular Spartan race, just so you know. And you're not required to do the obstacles at all. So in a Spartan race, if you cannot complete an obstacle, you got to do 30 burpees. And if you do it as a Biggest Loser, you do not have to do it. But as you see, you only get a Biggest Loser medal and number. So that's my husband's second one too. So we did the Killington obstacle race, which is hilarious because anybody who's done Killington, even the Killington Sprint, will tell you Killington's one of the most difficult Spartan races in general. So even not doing the obstacles, like there's something you can't avoid, like walking up that black diamond ski slope. Yep, I had to do it. It took me almost like 8 hours to do. So, good times were had. So that was the second medal, as I did the Killington obstacle race as the Biggest Loser. And then we went down to do the Fenway, and I did the Fenway, of course, as the Biggest Loser. And I did most, like 95% of the obstacles. The first wall I went over, I damaged like the whole under part of my top arm, like this whole part of my arm got damaged. So I didn't do anything over. Anything you had to jump over, I didn't do because I was so bruised. But we had a good time. I highly recommend, if you're thinking about doing any obstacle race and you live in New England, doing the Fenway Park. Not that it's easy. It's easier than Killington, but it's not totally easy. You do need to train. But you get to go, like, I've been in the visitors' dugout. I've been in the visitors' locker room. We've been all over the Green Monster. I think we went into the club seats. There was stuff in the club seats. Anyway, I have been all over Fenway Park, which I can tell you I could not have afforded to do otherwise. So it was a lot of fun. So I did that as a Biggest Loser. My husband did that as a Spartan. We the only sort of bad part of doing it that way is we weren't able to go at the same time. So we didn't run that race together. That was the only race we've not run together. And then we've done some incidental races, like one year we did Run for the Law in Canaan, New Hampshire and stuff. So I'm super slow. I'm sure my husband could have a quicker time without me. But lots of fun was had. Lots of fun has been had. So good times. So now what you have all been waiting for is the Stitchy Week update. So my husband has chosen his second ever cross stitch project. And it is the Checkmate coasters. This is in the May, June 2016 Just Cross Stitch magazine. And you can see we printed it out. So I have the magazine, but when you actually have a subscription to the magazine, you also have access to their digital library. I think I've said that before. And so I have, I went and let my husband highlight in the magazine because I actually wanted to do these as well myself. So he just downloaded the PDF, and we originally thought he was going to do it on the iPad, but I don't know how to work like Easy PDF or any of that stuff to highlight once you're finished. Anyway, so he's still doing it the old-fashioned way, although he might figure out the other way. So he is doing this on 16 count fiddler's cloth Ada and oatmeal from Joann's. It is originally charted to be done over 2 on 32 count, I believe. So that's why he's just doing it on the 16 count over 1. He's using 2 threads, and you can still see, and if you look in the picture in the magazine, you can still see a little bit through the stitching. I don't know if doing a 3rd thread would be helpful. Ideally, you could do it on a darker fabric, but the only problem is these white sections here. The piece is charted and stitched, but the white section of the board is not stitched. So if you did like a darker cloth, I guess you could stitch the white part. I don't know. But that's where he is, doing a good job. The pattern in the magazine describes the skill level as confident beginner, and what I think makes this a confident beginner pattern would be, first of all, if you use the linen, to be able to see that you're going over 2 threads properly and all of that. That might be a little bit more difficult. If you choose to do it the way my husband is doing it on 16 count Ada, there are 3/4 stitch and 1/4 stitch in this pattern, and also there's some blending of thread, so that might be a little bit more difficult for a beginner. This is the king piece. As you see, there are 4 different, these are actually 4 different little tiny charts. This is the one he's doing. So coming out pretty well. I think he's thinking about fully finishing these into coasters. You could also do them like one here, one here, one, having the 4 pieces and framing it. That's what we're thinking about. So this was a pin, like a lapel pin. It says Granite State Balloon Association. My husband and I are not hot air ballooners. Is that a word? Did I make that up? But anyways, we don't do hot air balloons, but we know people who do. And I took the backing off the pin and made it into a legitimate needle minder. Pretty cool. So that's his second project. It's coming along really, really well. Although you notice he's taken my Q-snap. We did purchase another hoop for him. I know I told you guys I was torturing him during his first one because I just made him use my wooden hoop. But we bought this plastic hoop, and he doesn't like it as well as the Q-snap. So maybe we'll get another Q-snap eventually. So right now he's using my Q-snap. So I'm using his hoop. I do have a larger Q-snap than this. That's like the 17 by 17. And I don't like it. Not at all. Not even for big projects. So I like about this size, which I think is 11 by 11. It works good for me. So, to my stitching. So, I had the last few vestiges of days and wine and whips this week from Stitch Mania. And I worked on Q is for Queen. You notice I have gotten her little inside of her crown done, and her skin and hair is pretty much done. At least her face is done. Just need to do her little cheeks and under the eyes. And as you know, as I've said this before, this little pattern here, this is the ABC Baby Collection by Gloria and Pat. It is out of print as far as I know. They do come out better as you backstitch them. Then I also worked on R is for Rabbit. He's got a little ear going. I had this yellow part already done, but this little ear is where I worked on. And just so you know, so the bright part of the Q was already done. I did mostly this. Holy beige Batman. I have gone almost completely beige with all of my work that I'm currently doing, so I don't know how that worked out. I'm not enjoying the whole beige of it all, but but hopefully we'll change that a little bit today. So I did want to say that I thought most of the Gloria and Pat were technically out of print and were only available if you bought it from Pat. There are several Precious Moments patterns. So like I saw someone in Stitch Mania had the Noah's Ark. I have the ABC Baby Collection. They're around, and on eBay lots of times you can find them. But the other day I actually went into Joann's and I was sort of looking through the current cross stitch books they have there, and I noticed they did have a Gloria and Pat Precious Moments design. So some of them are still in print, and Joann's, well, at least mine, Joann's in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, does carry it, but maybe not this one, this particular pattern. Although who knows, if they're reprinting them, maybe they might reprint the ABC Baby Collection one day. So then July 1st and Stitch Mania started. It's a sunshiny day, and I am doing a Beach Romance by Janlin, which is a kit. And I'll show you my progress thus far. So this is about 3 days of work. I don't work on it steadily. I do about a length of thread a day. So that's coming along pretty well. But I did want to talk about this particular kit. And kits in general. So my husband and I, so if you've never purchased a Janlin kit, I've purchased a couple. So this is just from the kits I've purchased. So they might be different in general. And I do have one of their plastic canvas kits, and it was kitted a little different than this, but. So, usually in a Janlin kit, it'll tell you, they'll have at least one card marked. So like you'll see it has like hank, which is, they have a hank of thread, which is a bunch of threads sort of knotted together and that you have to sort. And this one had 2 cards that were marked. And it tells you the number of strands you have and the code number. And that's for Janlin kits. I think it's just their code number because it just says code number. Usually kits that are a DMC, like Mill Hill does, I think does try to match their color. Either they try to match their colors to DMC or they are DMC floss. So they have like a DMC equivalent on their charts. Janlin I don't think does. So let me show you what that equates to. So this floss came on this particular thread organizer. And as you can see, it says card A, card B. Okay? I then went through, counted each piece of thread, and Janlin is usually pretty good about whatever is on this card being in order, although I wouldn't bank on that. I would count the threads, look, see if it makes sense, that type of thing. So I would count the threads, look at what color it looks to be. Do the threads match, and does it appear to be that color? Although some colors are, you know, even in the DMC world, some colors have weird names and they don't really look like what they say. Anyways, so then I wrote down the Janlin numbers. So I'll know which, because when it comes to the code chart that has like the little symbols, it just has the number. It doesn't tell you which card it's on, etc. So I just put the number. That's easy for me to relate. So then you have a hank. And usually the first kit I had by Janlin, the hank was very different colors. So you might have like a tan, and then it was like a blue, and then like a purpley color. So like you could tell which colors were which. This particular kit had these 3 colors in a hank. They did give you this little thread organizer, but it had nothing on it. So these colors look similar. This one's pretty dark and it's different than both, so it's not bad. But these colors look so similar. They don't look too similar on camera, but in real life they look very similar. So I went through it, and then my husband went through it, and then we went through to see how many strands we were supposed to have. And so if I ended up with an odd number, I knew that I got one wrong and we had to do it all over again. And that's also how we figured out which color, the number of strands is how we figured out which color went to which number. So here's the problem I see with this. So not every beginner starts this way. Not every experienced cross stitcher only does patterns that aren't kits. But a lot of beginners start with a kit. It's the easiest way to start, especially if no one in your household cross stitches, because you get your fabric, you get your thread, you get a needle, you get essentially everything but the hoop that you would need. So it seems like the easiest answer is to do a kit. However, when I was going through this mess, I honestly thought if I was a beginner, I might just say I can't do this. Like, it's too similar. I can't tell the difference between the colors. Maybe that means I can't be a cross stitcher. And I think, because if you notice a lot on eBay and at a lot of the thrift stores I've been to and yard sales, there seems to be kits that have been opened but never really worked on. And I wonder if it's because this holy mess. Because I could see as a beginner thinking, I cannot figure out this thread thing, and I give up, and it really is not that important to me. Because I question my wanting to do this kit as an experienced cross stitcher, sorting through this thread. Now, if you are a beginner, sorry, I have got to itch my eye, and you are looking for kit ideas that the thread isn't so hard to organize, here's some suggestions. So first of all, go to a store and look at the kit. So I purchased this kit off Amazon, but let's be honest, I knew I was going to try to persevere with it, and I knew I would just, if nothing else, I would throw away the thread and just try to find DMC equivalent, to be honest. Just have the pattern. But if you're a new cross stitcher, you maybe don't have that thought. So you want to go to like Walmart in some places has kits. Joann's, Michael's, they all have kits. Even if you live, like I live in a sort of ruralish place. Like I don't live in a rural part of New Hampshire. Like New Hampshire gets way more rural than where I live. But I live more rural than most of you probably do. And I have a Joann's and a Walmart. And so in the U.S., that's probably true. Abroad, that might be very different. You might not have as many big box stores rurally. And I would look at the kit, and through the plastic, you don't even need to open it. Sometimes you can see if it just looks like the thread is not attached to anything and it's just sort of knotted, they haven't sorted that. Some of them, like a lot of dimensions, are already sorted. Although some of the dimensions gold, I don't think are. I don't know. But you can see if it's sorted onto like a thread organizer. Another thing to look for is, I was going to look for my little picture here. I have noticed that, like on kits like this, so if you notice, there are like 3 different types of browns, 3 or 4 different types of browns, and khaki that exist in this pattern. Also, there are about 4 or 5 different types of blue, like purplish blue in this pattern. So if you're looking at the picture and the picture has a lot of similar colors and you can't see if it's already sorted, you may not want to do it as your first project or your second project. I did a Mill Hill kit one time that had 2 yellows that were very close to each other, but it wasn't extensive. And I hate to say this publicly because I actually gave this as a gift to somebody. I messed it up, and that person would probably be shocked to know that I messed it up. You couldn't tell. So I didn't frog in, I just left it as is and went with it. A lot of the Mill Hill kits, which if you have a local needlework store, they will sell. I have not seen Mill Hill kits at Joann's, at my Joann's. I say at my Joann's because my Joann's only has barely one row of cross stitch. So some Joann's might have larger sections, and if they do, they might have more options. But I have not seen it. Walmart doesn't sell Mill Hill or kits or anything like that. But if you have a local needlework store, they probably sell Mill Hill kits. And they're small and fun to do. You could go and get one of those that doesn't have the same color. So I have a Mill Hill kit that's, I think my Santas don't have, they only have like 1 red, 1 white, 1 yellow. I also have a gingerbread man that only has like 1 brown, 1 red. It has a bunch of colors, but they're very different colors. They're not sort of the same color on the same color scheme or way. So that's my suggestion for beginners, is try and find stuff that doesn't have similar colors in it. Now, I know some of the cheaper kits like Bucilla and all of that don't separate their thread, just so you know. Not all of them do. So that's what to keep on the lookout for. And I would hope that if there are any manufacturers listening, probably not, but whatever, that you guys would consider that you're sort of selling a whole product and people buy it thinking that's the easiest way to learn this craft. And it's not always the easiest way. It's not always the easiest way. Sometimes it's easier to buy a small pattern and kit it up yourself so you know what numbers are which numbers, and you can pick the fabric and those type of issues. The fabric from this particular kit, just so if you're wondering, is 14 count Aida, and it's hard. It is hard enough I can stitch this in hand. So I'm pretty cool with that now that I've done that Afghan in hand. So yeah, I'm pretty much stitching this in hand, although as I'm stitching it, it's getting more and more flimsy, so I might end up putting it in a hoop eventually, but right now I can stitch it out of a hoop. It's that hard. So the next thing I've been working on, moving right along, is this Diachelong. It has not gotten, I think since you guys have seen it, I've added more to whatever this is. I thought this was hair. I'm now thinking this is not hair, now that I've seen the rest of the pattern. So I'm like 2 weeks, including this week. I have 3 weeks to do. There are 4 weeks of pattern. I have 3 weeks. I'm 3 weeks behind. So I'm hoping to catch back up on this week. I have no idea. I still have no idea what it is. Someone threw out that it might be a Game of Thrones pattern. I guess that could be true, but I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I can't tell you that it is or isn't. And this little guy, Mourning for Icarus, has come back out. So those of you who are follow Hade on Facebook or on the Hade bulletin boards know that July 1st starts the third Hade challenge, and I've yet to finish one Hade challenge. However, this one's parking and I parked, so I'm hoping this one I could do. So the only problem is that the only Hade I have going is Mourning for Icarus. Oh, I had all this set out and I'm just unfolding it. Crazy, crazy. I'm telling you guys, beige to the nth number of beige. If I could just get out of beige, I might be happy. So I did not finish the last Hade challenge, so I haven't finished the page. And you need a new page for the current Hade challenge, which goes from July 1st to October 15th. And this is where I'm at. What I'm going to do is do the first row of 10 by 10s so I know where the second page starts, and then when I start the second page, that'll be for the challenge. Fully across that first page, 10 by 10. I've got the first 2 blocks done. I am not liking so this linen I bought actually is like a natural type linen. So it has, are they slubs? Slugs? Slubs? I don't know. Can you comment and tell me what it's called? But it's where like chunks of the fabric of the linen, and this is typically how linen is made. See how there's like chunks like on that thread? It's like a slub. Anyway, this linen has them. This is Dublin linen in the flax. I bought it from I think I bought it from everythingcrossstitch.com. I think it said it's a Wishelt, but I think it's actually a Zweigart. Anyway, I think it's under Wishelt, and I'm not enjoying the slubs. So I think this type of linen over 2 would be fine, but I'm finding it not looking even. And I'm hoping once I finish, it'll be okay, but it's not very even. So I'm thinking about trying an even weave when I do over 1. This is 25 count. I am doing 2 over 1. On this type of linen, I would not go, like, I don't think any smaller fabric would be good too, over 1 on this type of linen. Maybe an even weave, I don't know. So I'm thinking about moving to an even weave over 1, or doing these projects over 2. So that's where we are with that. And if you are ever going to do Mourning for Icarus, I didn't want bright white because a significant amount of this chart is dark. See how that's all dark? So I was thinking, so the white wouldn't show through, I would do like an off color white, which is this flax. And I'm thinking, because this corner where you start is so white, you could go a little darker than this. So if you're thinking about doing this chart, you might want to do it like on a coffee brown type of fabric. That might be good, because holy beige, Batman, it all blends in. So, now that you've seen my beige world, let's talk about the future. So my hope is, this week, I desperately want to do my sewing class. So Craftsy has a free online get to know your sewing machine class. It is a beginner class, so if you know how to use a sewing machine a little bit, it might be too beginner for you, I don't know. I don't know how to use a sewing machine, so it's pretty good for me. I'll put a link to it below. So I want to take that class, and they do have another free class, or they did it one time to make little bags. But I know Bonna, the Twisted Stitcher, also has a wonderful project bag, Flosstube, which I think seemed easy enough for me watching it, and then I thought, well, if only I knew how to use a sewing machine. If only I knew how to use a sewing machine. So I might do that after I do this free Craftsy class. We'll see. We'll see how long it takes me to do the class. So I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks to get through that whole Craftsy class. Next week, this coming week, I probably will not work on my alphabet Afghan at all. I want to get completely through that first top 10 row, the top row of that first page on Mourning for Icarus. So I'll be starting hopefully next week, by Saturday, starting page 2. I desperately want to get caught up in the stitch along that I'm 3 weeks behind on. And I want to do 6 more strands on my Beach Romance sample, my Beach Romance by Jan Lynn. On top of that, because today is July 4th, celebration of our high treason, and people are keep on, I know some of you are like, what? Had our revolution not ended as it did, those men would have been tried and convicted of high treason. So that's why I call it that. But anyway, I want to do, I'm now looking, I pulled it out to show you and to start. I want to start my Brooks Books Spirit of America. Yay! I haven't started her yet. I got all the threads. I did take advantage of the Joann's sale. And I know some people like really take advantage of the Joann's sale, but usually what we do is we decide a price And sometimes, to be honest with you guys, that price has been $5. Sometimes this time it's about 10. Sometimes it's been about 40. It depends on what we have going on financially at the time, like life stuff. So they usually have a sale like this. They've had two within the past month. But they usually have a sale like this at least every 3 months. And so what I do is get whatever I need for that price. So I needed stuff for Mourning for Icarus because I never did kit Mourning for Icarus up. I needed stuff for this lady, although I had some of it. So I took advantage of the sale to do that. Now, if I had for all of the things I'm working on, if I had all the DMCs I needed, what I would do was just pull a random chart from my stash and just buy stuff for that chart as much as whatever price I'm looking for. And believe it or not, that has gotten me through, there was probably about 8 months, maybe 6 to 8 months, where I went on a total stash diet and I bought 0 cross-stitching supplies. So that got me through that time. So that's how we work it in my house. But she's so beautiful. She will get started. Yay, America. And I don't know when I'll have her finished. And I don't know. I am going to do her on the perforated paper that came with it. And I don't know if she'll be finished into an ornament or a magnet or what. I sort of have an idea in my head, but I don't know if that'll work. So stay tuned for that. Brooks Books was having a sale, and I thought about buying from her, but I did not. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what happens with that. So it sounds like I will be doing nothing but stitching the rest of the week. However, I actually have life stuff to do as well, so who knows how much stitching will actually get done. Hopefully, I'll be in a less beige place next time we meet. I will also sometime this week probably make another yarn video because I have gotten a little bit done in my crochet and on my other plastic canvas Janlin kit. So I would like to thank everyone who is a new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing, and I would like to thank you to everyone who's watched all my videos. And I know I have some people who've watched them all from the beginning, and I appreciate you and thank you. And you mean a lot to me. And I like to thank anybody who's trying, and this is the first video you're watching with me. Thank you. Good, nice to see you. I hope you enjoyed it and found something interesting. And I hope you guys have a good stitchy week, and I will see you probably on Saturday so that we can get back on track and hopefully not delete more videos. So happy stitchy week.